Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting. Not right now, but most of the time, and I have been knitting, so I'm going to tell you all about it. As you can see, and maybe hear, I'm back to wearing my lapel mic just because I felt like it. And I felt like sometimes when I stand up and I move away from the camera, the audio changes, understandably, because I'm further in distance from the microphone on the camera. But if I affix the microphone to my person, then the audio should stay consistent no matter where I go, no matter what hill I climb or field I frolic in. So I have put the mic back on. Now, in the past, this is you don't care. I'm going to tell you anyway. In the past, I have hated wearing the mic because I feel like, or I felt like, let's clarify, this is past tense. I felt like I was simply pinning a cinder block to my chest, and that was all anyone would see. My words that I was saying wouldn't matter. The expressions I was making would be lost. The knitting I was showing, who would care? All people would see was the cinder block on my body. But now, well, now it looks pretty large when I look at it after that preamble. But now, I don't know, doesn't really bother me, doesn't stick out to me. Hopefully, you can look past it. Maybe you would have looked past it, but now I have robbed you of that opportunity, and all you will see from here on out is this microphone. So really, maybe I should have just shut up and started the podcast normally, but what's done is done. I'm mic'd up today. Great. All right, so welcome to my podcast. If you're new here, the chaos that just happened is pretty much par for the course. That's a golf term, for those not familiar. What it means in golf, I don't know. But what I mean by it is that it's pretty typical behavior. It's a little chaotic over here. But anyway, this is episode 51 of my weekly podcast series, which is a series where I talk to you about the things I've been making, the things I've been thinking, the things I've been doing over the course of the week prior. And in fact, I just thought of another thing I should add to the list, cast on plans. So we'll have a section about that at the latter half of the podcast, if I get to it. Now, another reason that I wanted to be mic'd up is because, we're pivoting back here, is because my chair has been so creaky in its old age. It's about 5 years old, which in terms of cheaply made office equipment, that is very, very old. So I may be getting a new desk chair soon, or maybe I should just use my sewing machine oil on this and make it so it doesn't creak so much. But I do apologize for the annoyingness of the chair, which again, maybe you've never noticed and never cared about, but henceforth will be haunted by because I brought it to your attention. What was I saying? Oh yes, let's go back to the previous thought that I interrupted with my other previous thought, which is, if this sounds fun for you, if you're enjoying yourself watching this and you're not subscribed yet, a lot of you watching are not subscribed. I have a lot of return viewers who, for whatever reason, haven't clicked that little subscribe button. So if you could take a second and bring your little finger to your cursor and click that subscribe button, that would be great. Helps me out a lot and boosts my ego. Let's be frank. So I appreciate that in advance if you choose to subscribe, and I would love for you to stick around and see what other content I have coming down the pipeline. Yeah, I'm going on a knitting tour next month, by the way, so you will see content from that. So if you like to see travel vlogs and stuff, knitting focused, then subscribe. All right. Let's get started. So this episode 51, covers my making from April 21st through the morning of today, April 28th. Today is April 28th, Monday, April 28th. So we'll start the podcast with project updates, and I have a whopping four projects to update you on, and two of them our finished objects, which is very exciting. So the first item is my Midland cardigan, and I have it here on the ground, no longer on the ground. It is done. Let me try it on for you, and you can see what it looks like on my body. All right, that's enough of that. Doesn't it look so good? I'm really happy with how it turned out. However, there are some things that I will change. Normally I would say I would change if I were to make again, but I know for a fact that I will be making this again because it is a fantastic pattern. Now, there are some things that were not my preference in the pattern, which I will go into, you know, if I ever get back into making FO diaries, which is a series where I basically deep dive into a pattern that I've made. But I got the feeling when I was knitting this that a lot of thought and intention went into this pattern, but by the end of the pattern, all of that attention to detail was kind of slowly unraveling. So like the sleeve instructions, I would have liked a little bit more clarity, specifically for the cuff. But also that could be due to the fact that I modified the pattern and I knit the sleeves flat instead of in the round. But some other additions that I did to this finished object is I added a line of elastic into the Italian bind off, the sewn bind off. So you can see maybe that light line of thread. That is white elastic. The camera wants to focus on me as soon as it sees a face that exists. But you see that elastic there? And normally I add elastic to the collar, but this is the first time that I've added elastic to the hem. And the reason I did that is because the hem was not quite as cinched up as I preferred, and that was my fault, I'm fairly certain. In the pattern, it says to go down 2 millimeters. Yes, 2 millimeters in needle size from the body stockinette, or no, the body garter that you're knitting to the cuff. And I realized after having done the hem that I'm pretty sure I only went down 1 millimeter. I used a US 8 on the body and a US 7 on the hem ribbing. So then when I got to the sleeve cuffs, I just used a US 7 on those as well, and that's fine. But what that did for the hem is that it made it so the hem ribbing was not as tight as I think the pattern intended, which would have an effect of cinching up the body at the bottom, because the gauge of the hem ribbing, while stretchy because it's ribbing, would be much tighter than the body gauge, which would make kind of a tapered fit, and that the hem would be tucked in tight, or you know, hugging tightly to my body, or tighter than it was. So I'll put a picture up and you can see how this looked before I added elastic, and I think that you can appreciate why I wanted to add some. So this line of elastic really helped cinch up the hem in a way that makes this so I feel comfortable wearing this and I feel good wearing this. I just feel good in my own skin wearing this. I did go with the souvenir buttons from This Is Knit that I purchased in October of 2023. Now, I got some conflicting advice in the comments on last week's podcast. I think it was only one person for each conflicting opinion, but one person said they thought these buttons were too small, and one person said they thought they were just right. And I ended up being of the mind that they are just right. And even if they were just a tiny bit too small, I just think the color match is absolutely flawless, fabulous, and superb. So I'm very, very happy with my button choice. This is going to come with me to Scotland next month. I'm very, very excited about wearing this because several people, at least on the first Scotland knitting tour, because I'm doing 2 in a row, which is a whole other kettle of fish, as Marilla Cuthbert likes to say. Yes, a lot of people on Scotland 1 have made Midlands, and I believe they're bringing them, so it's going to be fun to have a little matching moment. And I want to either shop for yarn for a second Midland while I'm in Scotland, or cast on a second Midland and work on it on the trip. I do have a sweater quantity of the same base from Sam of Clockwork Fiber Co. I ordered a sweater quantity of worsted, analog worsted from Sam in the colorway Hunter, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous green. And Sam is also sending me a sweater quantity of DK in the colorway Hunter. So analog DK is the base that I used for this Midland. And I would love to have a green one in my wardrobe, especially because I'm really, really just captivated by green right now. So I may cast that on and have that be a project to work on the trip. And I was thinking how fun it would be to challenge myself to knit a sweater in its entirety on the first Scotland trip and then have it ready to wear for the second Scotland trip. This actually was Rachel Antonits's idea. She's into the wools on Instagram, and it's kind of stuck in my brain ever since. So I may try to do that, but yeah. So as I said, this is Analog DK, which is a 100% non-superwash Shanico wool, and I say this every time, so if you are a returning viewer or a regular viewer, I hope you're not sick of me saying this, but I'm not going to stop saying it because it hasn't stopped being true. And that is that I really just love the analog line from Sam of Clockwork Fiber Co. I love working with Shanico. I love, 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 love it. It feels so good on my needles, and the practice of knitting with it, it's just so smooth, but it's structured and grippy like you want in a non-superwash, and I'm very, very pleased. Something that I've noticed with hand-dyed non-superwash is often the bases that dyers use pill just egregiously. I've experienced this myself. I've seen it on some other people's finished objects, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason these non-superwash bases, I'm kind of wary of them now because I just see so much pilling happening. But this hasn't really been the case with my Midland yet. I've worn it a few times and there's not really any pilling yet. So I'll keep you posted. But I'm really, really happy with this. I cannot recommend the analog line from Sam enough. She has analog fingering, analog DK, analog worsted, and analog spinning fiber. So if you want to try Shanico wool, Sam at Clockwork Fiber Co. is one of the dyers that stocks it. It's just a dream to work with and a dream to wear, and I recommend it highly, 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 so highly. So that is my Midland cardigan. It's a finished object. Oh, the other thing that I will change for my next Midland cardigan is I'm going to size down because this has quite a bit of positive ease on me. In the pattern, it is written to have, I want to say no more than 6 inches of positive ease at the hip or the lower waist, and I think I have like 9 or 10 inches of positive ease. So I can definitely size down and still wear this comfortably. And also a nice thing about like casting on another one in the same base from the same dyer is I probably won't swatch. I know you're gonna say, Rachel, you should still swatch because you know, every yarn is different, and depending on how it takes the dye, maybe that will impact how it knits up. But I'm not going to do that. So you just have to let me make my own mistakes. Okay? Okay. Yes. What's the next project? My rat. Yes. Okay, I'm going to go to black and white. I'm talking so fast that I'm starting to trip over my words, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. My rat, black and white. All right, we're in black and white here. Here is my second finished object of the week. It is a rat. Dun, 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 dun. I made another rat. This is a rat made from yarn I spun myself, and it is the first time I have a rat with a halo. Hopefully you can see this. The halo is not really too pronounced, and I don't know if being in black and white will make it a little bit even more or less pronounced. That cannot be the right way to say that. Even less. You don't put the word more in there, you just put less pronounced. But at the end of the day, let me go on a rabbit trail here. People don't do this anymore, maybe because I've gotten so lax with my grammar, but they used to do this all the time with me when they found out, like when I was an undergrad, when they found I was an English major, when they found out I was, getting my master's in English and then my PhD, like, oh, I better watch my grammar, better watch my spelling, better watch my punctuation, don't want to annoy the English person. And there was a time in my life when I was very, very adamant about the value of correct grammar, subject-verb agreement, yada, yada, yada. Now, who gives a flying fart? Not me, because the point of language, this is what I think, the point of communication, the point of language, okay, I'm kind of diluting my own argument here through the failed delivery. My point is that the whole point of language is to communicate. And if you can communicate, if you understand what someone is trying to communicate and there's effective back and forth, like who cares if someone has their words in the wrong order? Because who decided what the right order was? Jerks! That's who. So, anyway, I don't know if the black and white will make the halo less pronounced. That's what I was trying to say, but I'm willing to bet you understood what I meant to say even when I said it in a funny way. All right, so there you go. This is my rat. I have plans for this rat, but I'm not going to tell you about them until June. It will be safe to tell you then. I can't tell you now. Not going to. So here it is. Homespun rat. This is a BFL mohair blend of yarn, and it was really fun to spin. We can go back to in color. Okay, project number 3. Here we have my Alchemy Pullover. This is designed by Leslie of Knit California, and I'm making great progress on this because once I finished the Midland, this really was my main sweater whip until it wasn't, which I'll tell you about shortly. But this is my second Alchemy that I will have made. The first one I made during the testing period from start to finish in 13 days. It's purple, it's beautiful. But this one is green, obviously, and it's going to be a bit more oversized than my first Alchemy. So I think last week when I showed you where I was, I really should do that thing where you add a stitch marker to mark your progress. But last week, I think I only had a little bit of the body, and now, as you can see, I've got a few inches. And look at the beautiful jewelry I have on here. I have 2 Fuchsia Flower stitch markers from Twin Mountain Handcrafts. I have a mushroom house from Charmed and Dangerous, so cute. And I have a gemstone stitch marker from Jess of Skein and the Stitch. And that is just one side. On the other side, what jewelry do I have? Oh, yes. So I have another gemstone stitch marker here. And then I have another Charmed and Dangerous stitch marker. This is from the Kimbers Cozy Creations signature collection. And then I have my row counter. And this one is just a boring jump ring, so I'll have to go through my stitch marker collection and add some flair to that one. But dun da da da, I'm alternating skeins. So I joined in a new skein, and I've got quite a bit left of this skein, but this other skein is in the final stages. So I think once I'm done with this skein, I'm going to pick up and knit the collar, because then I will only have one skein attached to this project. So it will be easier to manage, less yarn management than having 2 skeins attached. And I want to do the collar, like, I want to do it now because I don't want to have the looming task of picking up stitches haunting me after I cast off the body or the sleeves. Like, picking up stitches is one of those things that I build up in my head, and it seems so scary and so insurmountable and so much work. And then when I do it, I feel like, why was that so scary? So I just want to eliminate the time to build up, like lessen the time that I have to build up the fear in my head and just get it done. So once this skein is done, I will join a new skein to knit the collar, and then I'll cut the yarn from that when I'm done, and then join that skein to the body, knit the body till it's done, and then knit the sleeves. So I'm hoping to finish this before Scotland, and I leave next week. Oh my God, I leave next week. So I want to finish this, and I think that it's possible, definitely possible, because I knit the first one from start to finish in 13 days, and I have what? Certainly less than 13 days, but, well, 14, 13, 12, I have 11 days, I think. And I'm certainly farther than just starting. So I think definitely I could finish this before I leave for Scotland. So that is the third of my 4 projects to update you on. Now let me show you the fourth, which, if you haven't followed on Instagram, or you don't follow me on Instagram, you have better things to do and better platforms to suck away the hours of your day, then you may not know what I'm about to show you. It is my Felix cardigan. If you are a regular viewer, you may remember this from January's podcasts. It's really difficult to show you right now. But in January, I started and finished this Felix cardigan, which is a cardigan pattern designed by Amy Christoffers of, what's her, is it Unwind Knitwear? I'm not quite remembering, but, oh, I can't do that. That's going to be a bad choice because of my double knit button band. So let me take this off actually before I do irreparable harm to my project and therefore my heart. So let me walk you through this. I'll put up a picture of what this looked like when I finished it back in January. Finished object, totally done, cast off, ends woven in, blocked, buttons sewn on, and yet disgusting. I was not happy with how this project turned out, and I think it was a combination of the pattern and the choices I made when making the pattern. For instance, I added length to the pattern because I thought that I wanted to be able to wear this over jeans, but I'm still learning my preference, I guess, with length for sweaters, particularly sweaters that, well, particularly cardigans that I want to style over jeans. I thought adding the length that I did would be the right choice, but I just really didn't like how it hit me. Then another problem that I had was my button band. I didn't really like the look of the ribbing. It looked kind of sloppy to me, and I think that's certainly partially because of my execution of it. Like, maybe I could have done a neater button band. And then also, I didn't like my button placement. So I regretted where I had chosen to place the buttons. I didn't like the buttons either, which was a whole different thing. And then lastly, I didn't like the collar. I thought that it was much too wide, much too open. And my preference is a tighter collar so it hugs my neck a little bit more. Not to the extent that it's uncomfortable, but to the extent that it is the focus. Like the shirt I'm wearing underneath is not poking out so much. So all of those things combined led me to not wear this finished object even once. I think I wore it like around my craft room one day, but I don't know. Other than that, no. Like it has never left my house. It has never seen the light of day. It has never felt the wind on its stitches. So I got it in my brain that I wanted to fix this well, it was in my brain ever since I cast this off in January, but recently I got it in my brain that I wanted to fix this so I could wear it in Scotland. Will that happen? I don't know. But I am chasing that carrot. So things that I have done so far, I have undone the button band, frogged about 2 inches, and re-knit the button band. So this is about 2 inches, 2.5 inches shorter than the cardigan used to be. Then I also frogged the collar and the button band. Then I re-knit the button band, the left or the right side button band, and I tried it on and it was clear that the gauge was too big. I'll put a picture here of what it looked like. And you can kind of see that telltale curve between the button band bottom edge and the ribbing. The button band, there's like too much button band to fit in the spot that it's supposed to go, so it kind of hangs down. So I thought, okay, I can frog this button band. I knit that on US 8, which is the same size that I knit the ribbing for the hem. So I thought, okay, I can frog this and I can try it again with a smaller needle size. But then I thought, what if the smaller needle size is the wrong size and I need to go down more? So I opted to leave the too large button band that I had just knit on US size 8 and to go to the next button band. Oh, did I tell you I decided to do a double knit button band? Yeah, you put 2 and 2 together. So I went and I did the left side button band. I started it with US 6, which was 2 needle sizes lower than the first button band I knit, but it was very quickly apparent that that was too small. And the way I told that was when I was knitting the edge was like puckering in like this, which is similar to what my Midland did when I was knitting the button band with needles that were too small. So I didn't get too far on that. I stopped and I frogged, and then I cast on the button band again with US 7 needles, and that turned out to be the perfect size. And I'll show you a picture here that compares the US size 8 needles and the US size 7 needles. So as you're looking at the picture, on the left hand side is the button band that I knit with US size 8, and the right button band is what I knit with US size 7. You can see, if you look at the bottom, the difference between the US 8 button band and the US 7 button band. The US 8 button band curves down. There's too much button band for the space allotted, whereas the US 7 button band is flush with the hem. It doesn't feel smushed or squished, or it's also not pulling or puckering. So now I am working on the first button band on US size 7, and I have my first buttonhole here, and I have my stitch markers along the cord of where I want to have the other button band or the other buttonholes. So I'm hoping to be able to finish this second button band today or tomorrow or Wednesday, sometime this week, and then do the collar. So my plan for the collar is to also do a double knit collar, or I guess more appropriately or more correctly it would be a double folded collar. So I'm going to do 1x1 ribbing, and then I'm going to fold the collar down so it also has the thickness and the look of the double knit button band. And I'm also going to do it, I think after I pick up the stitches, I'm going to do decreases so the collar is cinched in tight and is not as wide as the fabric is now, the surface area is now for the collar. So that has been a real trial and error situation that I've been caught in. And yesterday I was really tempted, after I realized that the button band I had knit to completion was the wrong size, I was really tempted to just set this project aside. There's a Surrey fiber in my glasses, on my glasses, but it's gone now. I was really tempted to just put it aside and not work on it and just leave it and just wait till I could lick my wounds and heal my heart and not have my feelings hurt by this project. But then I realized if I did that, who knows when I would revisit it. Maybe it would be another 3 months from now, and then of course I wouldn't be able to finish it for Scotland. So I don't really know how, but I found it within myself to be brave and tackle that second button band, and I'm really glad that I did that and that I didn't lose momentum, because I think that barring any real huge setbacks or heartbreaks, I can finish it this week, which leaves me plenty of time to finish the Alchemy. Fingers crossed. So that's it for project updates. Let's talk now about cast-on plans. I have a couple. I've already mentioned to you that I want to make another Midland cardigan, most likely in the Hunter Green from Sam of Clockwork Fiber Co. I also am thinking about casting on the Ripple cardigan in this yarn that I have had since 2023. I got it at Kerry Woolen Mills on the first ever Irish knitting tour. This, by the way, is a cake that I made up, or I caked up with my electric yarn winder. The cakes that it makes are just so satisfying. So, what was I saying? Yes, 2023, Kerry Woolen Mills, Hobie released this pattern called the Ripple cardigan, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I just think it's so cute, and Leslie and I are both thinking about making it. She's already swatched it up, and I think that I'm going to swatch it up in this colorway. The pattern calls for DK weight yarn, but the yardage of the recommended yarn corresponds more to a sport weight, as I understand it. So this is a sport weight. It's merino. From Kerry Woolen Mills, the merino comes in 200-gram hanks, just like their Irish wool does. And I want to say this was something ridiculous, like 17 euros or something. Just absurdly affordable. So I hope that I can meet gauge, because this would be really nice to work up. Plus, it would give me something I can check off of my bingo list for 2025, which is to use Ireland yarn. So that is a cast-on plan. And then another cast-on plan, let me grab some yarn to show you. I'd really like to make something for my wardrobe out of yarn I spun. So I was thinking that this skein of hand spun from fiber that Brianna of the Little Wolf Knits sent me would be really fun and could be a good trip project. Like if I have a big project that is a sweater, like the Midland cardigan or maybe the Ripple cardigan, depending on if I swatch this up before Scotland, having like a hat or a scarf. But I think this would be such a cute hat. I think it's so cute. So pretty, this skein. I think this would be a really nice small project to take with me on the Scotland trip and have in tow to work on when it's just not feasible to have a big sweater project on the go with me. So that's what I'm thinking. If I look at my yarn wall, this is really the skein that jumps out at me that I want to work up, but I do have another skein that I need to show you, actually, which brings me to Spin Diary, and let me go get that skein. Here it is. So last week during Knit Night with Leslie, we were talking about spinning, and I was saying how much I missed spinning because I had been so focused on, oh my goodness, on skein is so hard. It looks like it should be so easy, but it's like wrangling an octopus that hates you. But anyway, we were talking about how we miss spinning and we've been so busy we haven't been able to spin as much. And then Leslie and I were talking about how I haven't had an April spin yet, which is actually not true. I realized in retrospect I had spun fiber in April and I had made a finished skein, which I'll show you. This one I made in April. So I really did have an April skein, but at the time I was convinced I hadn't spun a skein in April, and Leslie really has put me on to wanting to have at least one skein for every month of this year to show that I spun. So that night, during knit night, I stopped what I was working on. I think it was the Alchemy, and I got this braid of non-superwash merino wool from Clockwork Fiber Co. And I started spinning it up, and by the next day, it was spun and plied and washed and thwacked and hung to dry. This is gorgeous. Gorgeous! I really, really like the color. Really, really, really a lot. So maybe this could be my trip project because it is purple. It's beautiful purple blue. I think that it looks a lot like the colors in my Midland, but maybe if it had a little bit more pink to it. Let's compare actually. Yeah, that's pretty doggone similar, don't you think? So I really liked how this turned out. However, I've learned that that merino is not my favorite fiber to spin with just because the staple is so short. So I feel like I have to like move my hands so quickly instead of enjoying like the leisurely meditative rhythm of spinning. But really happy with this. This fiber was gifted from Sam way back when she started dyeing fiber. And I just think it turned out so beautifully. Let's see if, yeah, just look at those colors. Ooh, so beautiful. So that's all that I've spun this week though. And since I will be gone all of May, I mean, once I leave, if I'm going to have a May spin, then I need to do it. I need to do it before I leave next week. So I may spin another braid that I have tucked away in my fiber stash before I leave, just so I can make sure that I have spun every month of the year. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I will have more than 12 braids or more than 12 skeins of hand spun because I spun like a bajillion. Is that a word? I spun a lot in February, several skeins, but I don't know. I want to spin in May. Oh, so happy with this. Turned out so beautifully. So yeah, maybe this will be my Scotland hand spun project. If for no other reason than I can't seem to get it into a skein without my hands wanting to fall off. So maybe I'll just bypass that and cake this right up and get to knitting with it. But either that or this one, which is really, really calling my name. But also, what about this? No, I couldn't possibly. Could I? Maybe. I'll think on it. I'll give it a few big brain moments. So there's my spin diary. I'm not going to do a Q&A today because time is short, and I think maybe I'll do Q&As like once a month. Yeah, so if you have a question for me, there's a Google Doc in the video description. So I'll do one for May, but not today. So that brings us next to announcements because I have no acquisitions to share with you. I did receive some things in the mail, but I'm not going to show you because they are surprises for the Scotland trips. And they're none of your business until the Scotland trips and they happen. Because if you're on the Scotland trips, I want you to be surprised. And if you're not on the Scotland trips, I don't want you to spoil it for those who are. So please respect this boundary. I'll tell you what I got in the mail, just not yet. Just not yet. So, announcements. We have 2 announcements, and they are all about the knitting tours. Well, I guess 3 announcements. Number 1, since I am leaving next week, I'm hoping to have a podcast for you next week, but then I may, if I can get my ducks in a row, which as you know is very difficult for me to do, but if I can, I will have videos for you while I'm gone. But if I can't, and you don't see an upload from me for a while, it's because I'm having the time of my life in Scotland and I'm making a bunch of content for you to see when I get back. So you just have to be patient. I know some of you were worried about me. You're so sweet. You were worried about me when I went a few weeks without posting here on YouTube. I'm okay. I'll be okay. And you can always follow me on Instagram if you want more real-time updates of what I'm up to. But yeah, I will be gone for several days, for many weeks. Like, I leave early May, and then I get back early June. So it will be a long haul. It will be a long haul. I'm spiraling over what I'm going to pack and how I'm going to make it work. But yeah, so that's the first announcement. The uploading schedule may be disrupted. I hope to have you all set and taken care of while I'm gone. But if not, I'm sure you can find really rich and fulfilling things to do with your time other than listening to me go on and on and on about grammar and etc. The second announcement and the third announcement ultimately are the same announcement, which is that the tours for 2026, I have 2 left that are open for signups. One is Scotland and the Shetland Islands, and that is about 80% full. And then the other one is Ireland and Northern Ireland, and that one is coming up on 50% full. So if you want to join me, and I really think you should, then don't wait too long to make your final choice and fill out that interest form. We've already met the minimum number for Scotland and Shetland, so that tour is a go, but we are waiting on a few more people to meet the minimum number for Ireland and Northern Ireland. So both trips are going to be great. I think Ireland and Northern Ireland is going to be a bit more luxe, a bit more cushy. Scotland and Shetland is going to be incredible and really just like the places that we're going and the workshops we're going to have is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. So I'm really, really excited about both of them, and I hope that you'll join me if you are on the fence or if you're thinking about it. Shoot me an email at rachelisnknitting@gmail.com, and I'd love to chat with you and talk through any of the questions that you have. What else do I have to tell you? I don't believe anything. So that's it for the podcast. Hope you're doing great today. Hope you're having a wonderful day, that you're working on something that is making you so happy and feel so fulfilled and feel so talented. Because how amazing is it that we can take something and another something and turn it into an item you can wear? String and sticks or string and a hook. Amazing. We're so talented, aren't we? They don't tell us enough, do they? I'm going to tell you, you're so talented and amazing. Okay, that's it. Let's not make it weird. What do I have to tell you? Like this video if you did like it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And hit that notification bell to be notified of my next upload. And then, of course, as I mentioned, head over to Instagram, or you could head over also to Facebook and TikTok and follow me over there. Instagram and Facebook, I post most often, really on Instagram, but then it cross-posts to Facebook. So if you want to see more day-to-day updates or most recent stuff, or especially when I'm on the Scotland tour, if you want to see what that is like, I'll be very active in my Instagram stories to share all that with you, all you folks at home. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you're having a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.